starting. We're on it. I'm committing. We're back on.
Are we on right now?
Yeah, we're on right now. We're committed. We're committed.
You can tell this was planned.
They're going to be listening to the first monster roll right about now.
Supposed to have plans?
Well, until I screw up and then play the wrong monster and then play the second wrong monster. So you know what? Screw it. Since we're improving all of this, I'm just going to have all the monster play in order, starting with the first monster, and then followed by the second monster, followed by the third monster, and followed by the last monster that sound strange. Just leave it at that, because that fourth monster is strange.
Wait, seriously, we were supposed to have a plan?
There we go. But
wait, are we supposed to be reading from a script?
Well, you guys are. I'm supposed to be, apparently.
The script has gone out the window.
And if you couldn't tell by the first one, which was a jangle mess, we're finally on a Godzilla. With Manilla. As you can tell, this is Alchemist's favorite one because he knew he could recite all the monsters from the movie with Manilla in it.
I really could, which is weird because I actually hate this movie, but I knew all the monsters off the top of my head. I think hatred somehow ingrained them in my memory because I tried to forget it so hard.
So the movie Alchemist is referring to is the 1969 All Monster Attack movie, which would be the third movie that had Manilla in it. Surprisingly enough, we don't think Alchemist seen the first movie, which is Son of Godzilla, 1967.
No, I actually tried looking for a few clips. I can guarantee it. I did not see that one.
Which surprised me.
Yeah, no, because that's the thing is I saw it online a few times, but I always thought it was the other one with the kid I saw.
Yeah, and that's the third one.
Yeah, so no, I never saw it because again, I mistook it for something else.
And just to give some stats about Manilla, he is 13 meters tall at his birth. Afterward, he's 18 meters tall. Weighed around 1,800 metric ton at his birth, big child. 3,000 at the time where at all the other movies' time, he's 3,000 metric tons. Born on Sojel Island. Actually, we have a diet for Godzilla. Tropical fruit.
The fuck?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, while I could make jokes about those teeth and everything, in all seriousness, I thought Godzilla fisted off radiation.
Well, he does, but that's the thing about Manilla. He's very strange.
Oh, Manilla. I'm sorry.
But he is a Godzilla species. That's the thing, Alchemist. You gotta remember, he is a Godzilla species. And he does actually eat fruit. So this is the first time we've actually seen a Godzilla species eat something. And it's just fruit.
That's true. Does Godzilla
I would say that's
eat?
a face only a mother could love, but then I'd be lying.
For those on
Do
YouTube,
we actually see Godzilla eat anything besides radiation?
That's the thing. Toho specifically made it clear they never want to see Godzilla eating anything because they don't want... Because the current legendary movies that they're currently showing in the U.S., they actively want to have Godzilla eating something because they show Kong eating, and they want Godzilla to be slightly more relatable so they can do more with Godzilla. But Toho refused to let him eat anything, saying they don't want Godzilla to eat. They don't want to have him associated with being like an animal.
That's fair.
So it's fair because I understand why they do it, because that 2000 Godzilla movie kind of screwed everything over.
Wait, Godzilla 2000 or
the first American Godzilla movie.
which one was that?
The one with Zilla.
Yeah, got it.
Was it 1998? I get
1999.
1990. You can see why I think it's 2000. I think it was 2000 probably when I saw it in the theaters.
Yeah. I regret seeing that in theaters.
It's a fine kaiju movie. It's just not a Godzilla movie.
It really isn't.
Um, I
Although the animated series that came from it was pretty cool.
I have to admit, I did actually find a growth chart that is claimed to be official. For those on YouTube, you're seeing it. Those on Spotify, basically, is a chart that's showing Manila as the infant. What would be Godzilla, Godzilla Junior, Godzilla. We won't bring up this design till the Heisei era, and then Young Adult, which is another design we wouldn't bring up to the Heisei era, leading to the final design, which is Showa era Godzilla, showing that. Because I remember one thing that a lot of people complained about was Manila doesn't look like Godzilla initially. And I remember that was my complaint as a kid. But I tried to look up where this image came from. The most I can find is that Toho used to release a little magazine, and this image came from that magazine, but I can't figure out which one.
I'm sorry, I'm just remembering my complaint when I first saw Manila.
Yeah.
My complaint when I first saw Manila was, my God, he can talk, and why does he keep talking to this obnoxious kid? I'm sorry, to all fans out there, I'm sorry, I truly hated that movie.
Oh, Paul Manila, he started off with a rough start. He was, oh well. First, I gotta bring up one of the big thing, because this is one of the things I want you to think about. Is Godzilla the biological father to Manila, or is he adopted?
I'm not gonna lie, I always thought one of Godzilla's spines broke off or something, and it just started regenerating into it.
Because that's the big thing. Is I remember that was what I used to wonder as a kid was Manila Godzilla's actual biological child, or was he adopted?
I legit don't know.
So he actually, well, surprisingly enough, and I wanted to set up a whole little bit with Jerry Springer and and going, "Are you the father?" But no, I couldn't get that set up in time. He actually is adopted. In his first movie, so Manila was born on Sojel Island. Or his egg was laid on that island. He would be attacked. He was emit brain waves that would actually interfere with radio waves while being in his egg, and it actually did summon Godzilla to that location. So Godzilla, I guess Manila have psychic powers as well. Oh,
Or is it more like some kind of weird paternal thing where all the species are meant to protect the young?
well, see, I thought that, but in the movie they actively talk about how their radio was receiving interference, and they realize that the interference is coming directly from the egg, and it was clearly and they theorize it was Manila reaching out psychically, or whether it was telepathy or what, he was reaching out to Godzilla, because the opening of the movie of Son of Godzilla is a plane is flying over the Pacific, and they almost run into Godzilla, and they see Godzilla is making a beeline straight for that island.
Huh. Maybe I should try to watch. I should try to actually watch Son of Godzilla. It's
not
got to
bad.
be better.
No, it's better
It's got to be better than.
it is better than All Out Monster Attack. As
Yeah.
you can see on screen, if you're looking at it, Manila was kind of forcibly hatched by the second monster of the day, the Kamacuras. Oh, the giant mantis. It's literally just giant mantis. That's all it is. It's just a giant mantis. I wish I could. I usually try hype these monsters up, but the Kamacuras is just kind of it's the equivalent of the monster that's supposed to be jobbed. If it's brought into a comic book or a movie, it's probably gonna get beaten up by whatever monster is closest, which just happened to be Godzilla. here's how I can tell Archimage whether you've seen Son of Godzilla or not. Um, for that you remember the Mantis.
Yeah.
You remember Godzilla setting one of them on fire.
Yes.
You remember one of them being grabbed by Godzilla as he literally is just flinging it around like a rag doll.
Yeah. Not even worth its time.
Do you see him while he's flinging it around like a rag doll, slam it on the ground so many times that its body parts start flying off?
Wait, what?
Yes, that's from Son of Godzilla.
No, but that sounds awesome.
So like literally, remember so this is one thing I was explaining to Archimage previously was All Out Monster Attack is kind of it's the clips from Son of Godzilla. Oh, and to give some context to Kamacuras, Kamacuras is 50 meters tall, 2,800 metric tons. Its primary weapons is a giant mantis, so it's claws. It can fly at Mach 2. Is it Mach 2 or Mach 1.5? I think it was Mach 0.5, even less than that. Okay, so it's just completely useless. I'm trying to be nice to this thing, but it's a giant mantis. Literally, the way it shows up is originally, it's about, taller than a human when they first encounter it. They assume it's the radiation that made the mantis bigger. They're doing an experiment on Soldier Island. The experiment go awry. Surprise, surprise. The radiation leaks out, causes a radiation storm on the island, and the mantis go from bigger than humans to kaiju size, 50 meters tall. And the first thing the mantis do is they start to attack Manilla's egg, and they forcibly hatch Manilla. And then they start to attack Manilla. So Manilla's get kind of beat up at the start of the series. He start off getting beat up by monsters. And
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And unfortunately, I mean, he does do better against them as he get older. But the main thing to note is when Manilla's first hatch, he's getting beat around by 3 Kamacuras, and ultimately, Godzilla shows up and beat the ever-living tar out of them. Kill all but one of them. He, as I was explaining, he grabbed one of them, flings him around like a rag doll, and breaks his limb off, slamming him against the ground so hard. For the second one, he set on fire, and the third one ran away, which was smart. It lived.
Yeah, sometimes there are smart ones.
It wouldn't live very long because that would bring me to the second monster that they ran into, which would be the next monster of the day, which would be Kumonga, a giant spider. We're seeing a big theme this episode.
Yeah. Well, if it was good enough for Tolkien, right?
Well, is it Shilba? How do you say that?
Shebub? Shelobub?
I know it's Shelob, I think, or EOB, something like that, if I remember
Shelob?
correct. Well, anyway,
Yeah,
Kumonga
whatever.
got her beat because he's 45 meters tall, 8,000 metric tons. He actually is more of a threat than the Kamacuras. His webbing is strong enough to ensnare and keep Godzilla tied up.
I would just say I would hope that a spider is more of a threat than a praying mantis.
Yes, he's definitely more of a threat. A poison stinger. Kumonga is actually the one who takes out the final Kamacuras. It falls into his web and it get tied up in his webbing and ultimately get killed by the poison stinger. Manilla, unfortunately, ends up facing it, and it also kind of get tied up in its webbing and has to be saved by Godzilla. So, poor Manilla.
I'm thinking poor Godzilla is like going, damn, how did I suddenly become a dad?
Well, I'm actually glad you bring that up because Godzilla, he's surprisingly enough a caring father. Go figure. He is straight up.
So was Dracula.
Well, he's better than, you mean Castlevania's Dracula?
No, I mean Dracula in real life.
Oh, real life Dracula. Well, did he?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Did he have any children that survived?
Don't know, but even his enemies admitted he was a loving father. And again, his wife was so heartbroken when she thought he was dead, she killed herself.
Ah. Well,
So, I mean, a loving husband.
Well, Godzilla is actually a caring father. And to give the answer, yes. Yes, he is an adoptive father. He is not the biological father. So, Godzilla, you are not the father, but you are the legal guardian. So don't start dancing just yet.
I'm sorry. You just reminded me of the comments about Maury.
Well, which one now?
Oh, Maury. He does all that. You are not the father stuff so much.
Oh,
There's entire compilations of. I apologize if this offends any. You know what? Fuck it. Trump's in office. We don't have to care about PC crap anymore.
Oh, we about to get canceled on this podcast.
Maybe. So no, the joke is that there's entire compilations of a bunch of black guys where women are trying to say that they're the fathers, and they turn out not to be the fathers, and they jump for joy and they thank Maori.
Yep.
So the most common comments that they get on those videos is Maori has freed more black men than Abraham Lincoln.
No, that's true. Well, here's the funny thing. I was originally going to use a little skit of one of those scenes where they're going, "You're not the father," and it's a black guy dancing around, and I was gonna paste Godzilla head on him. And the funny enough thing, I think it was a Murray show that I was watching that I was gonna use as the skit. Just couldn't get enough time to do it. But no, Godzilla is not a deadbeat dad, but he may be an abusive father.
Yeah, that sounds right.
For those watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify, you'll miss a picture of Godzilla raising his hand, looking like he's about to beat Manila, and Manila's cowering in fear.
I mean, yeah.
He's a tough father, but he is fair. I mean, in that very same scene, he is trying to teach Manila how to use his atomic breath. Because all Manila can do initially is shoot out atomic rings, which are just little round blue atomic smoke rings, as they're described.
I remember the smoke rings, the donut holes.
Yeah.
Not the donut holes, the donut rings.
I mean, you never really get to see the full capabilities of those things. Like, you see monsters get hit by it, and it briefly stunned them. But I don't know what it would do to a human.
Briefly stuns them. I always just thought that it was like they were just so shocked they didn't know what was going on. They were more going, "What is that?" Like the weird thing in Superman 2 where he throws off the S on his chest and it does that weird rapping.
Well, yeah, and that's what it seemed to do, what it does. But here's the thing: it was the last strike to kill King Ghidorah in the movie what is it? Destroy All Monster. So it's not completely ineffective because it did kill, Godzilla's greatest enemy. It was the one to deal the final blow.
That's fair.
Granted, this was after all the other monsters ganged up on him, jumped on him, stepped on his neck. Godzilla beat the one head to death. But yes, he took out the last one.
So what you're saying is that he knows how to kill steel.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes, Zed. He is the best kill. Now, that brings me up to one of the theories. And this is a theory that Toho had to even acknowledge. And I also want to do, I don't know, I know Archimed's probably seen it. I don't know if Zed's seen the show. I think it was called Truth or Fiction. The one that had Will Riker from Star Trek playing the host, where he'll tell a story and you had to guess whether it was myth or reality.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
This is a fan theory. You have to guess whether Toho decided to make this fan theory legit or kept it a fan theory. So the theory is, that there's technically all three Godzillas. There's the original Godzilla that died in the first movie.
Yeah.
There's the second Godzilla, which is the one where in the majority
Following around.
Yeah, and then there's technically Manila, the child Godzilla.
Yeah.
And you know that Godzilla kind of make huge behavioral shift. The first movie, he straight up is just a beast going towards radiation, killing anything in his way. The second movie, the next Godzilla, he seemed kind of indifferent. He sees humans as a nuisance. He doesn't really care about them one way or another, but he just want to fight whatever monster get in his way. And then the third version of Godzilla seemed to be defender of Earth. You know, like they make the shift where he's literally the defender of Earth. Everyone recognizes him as a hero.
Yeah, right.
So
2014 Godzilla American, we were expecting a big American flag to be dropped on his shoulder.
Exactly. Well, the fan theory is after the movie Destroy All Monster, the one where they killed King Ghidorah, the one just before the Fever Dream one that you saw, Archimage, the fan theory is because everything after that movie, the Fever Dream movie, that's where Godzilla is regarded as defender of the Earth. Now, of course, behind the scenes, we can tell the reason they did this was because they were making the shift to move Godzilla from being horror film character to child-friendly superhero type character. That's the whole reason they made Manila. But the fan theory is after the Fever Dream movie, or after Godzilla Destroy All Monster, where they killed King Ghidorah, the theory is Manila became the new Godzilla. He grew up, became the new Godzilla, and became the defender, and the rest of the movies. So that would mean Godzilla versus Gigan, Godzilla versus Megalon, Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla was all Manila. That's the theory. And Toho even acknowledged because they like that theory. Because it makes sense now. Why was Godzilla so adamant about defending humans? Manila is the only Godzilla species to ever be on friendly terms with humanity. At least in Showa era. There's another baby Godzilla that also is on friendly term, but he's in Heisei era, so different universe, different timeline.
Right.
So the popular fan theory is Godzilla killed King Ghidorah died. The original Godzilla decided to retire, go off on vacation somewhere, just go sleep, and Manila grew up and became the new Godzilla. And some of the things that you can think as evidence. He's always trying to defend humans. You remember the Godzilla versus Hedorah the Godzilla versus Hedorah movie. Godzilla was seen as a protector. He was seen as a defender. Children liked him. The Godzilla vs. Gigan movie, he's working with another monster. He's working with Anguirus, the monster that he killed in his first movie. Yet they say he's friends with this one. Well, if it's a whole different Godzilla than the one that killed the previous version. And then the big thing that people refer to, you don't see Manila anymore.
That is true.
You stop seeing him after that movie.
I mean, I do like the fan theory, not gonna lie.
And then the other thing that got me was Jaguar, the robot we haven't got to yet. A humanoid robot. And Godzilla was willing to work with and be friends with a humanoid robot to fight two opponents. Not to mention, that version of Godzilla don't really attack humans. He only attack other monsters.
Although that is also when Godzilla got really silly.
It did get Godzilla were always silly, but yeah, it got super silly then. It got super, and that also raised Mo to the point. Manila was very silly even on his first movie. Everything was again. You haven't seen Son of Godzilla. When he hatched and Godzilla come to save him. Yes, Godzilla is fighting off three monsters. He also accidentally bumped him up in the head several times and hit him. So there's several slapstick where he knocked the child over multiple times, including hit him in the face with his tail by accident.
I could see that.
So that also is the movie where Son of Godzilla is where Godzilla first becomes, well, technically Ebra is a little bit silly, but that was supposed to be King Kong, so I don't count that as much. So Son of Godzilla is where it straight up gets silly. So I'll leave you two to ponder and wonder. Because Toho acknowledged it, but I'm leaving it to you guys to decide. Did Toho accept the fan theory and make it canon, or did they just say that's a nice theory?
I think they said it was a nice theory because I think if they actually made it canon, they would have really gone out for it. Because
no, they would. No, they would not. They would just probably released it in the book saying, "Yeah, it's canon now."
Yeah, something like that. Because so funny thing, I know it's a tangent, but it does kind of fit. We've all, I think, well, I don't know. Zed, have you seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yes, quite a while ago.
That's fine. You remember the plot. Okay, so Who Framed Roger Rabbit? You know, beloved Disney movie, a lot of fun. Highly recommended if you've never seen it. Who Framed Roger Rabbit was based on a book called Who Censored Roger Rabbit, and Who Censored Roger Rabbit was basically the same plot, but it was a lot darker. And well, let's just say Jessica Rabbit wasn't as loyal of a wife as she was in the movie, and yeah, the movie was pretty dark, actually. And also, Roger Rabbit looked more like the Nesquik bunny. It was supposed to be a little bit about, it was supposed to be like I think it was supposed to be a little bit of touch on racism, but I forget exactly how. But anyway, so the Disney movie obviously changed a lot of things because, again, the book was really dark. So, because of the changes, though, as it turns out, the author liked the changes so much that when he wrote his next book, he made the entire first book a dream and went off the timeline where the Disney version was actually the real version.
Huh.
Sorry, just a little tidbit.
Okay, so
has
yeah,
nothing
like
to
an
do with
alternate
podcast, but
timeline.
just remind me of that. I thought it was kind of funny.
No, I didn't even know about that. And I like
Yeah,
Who
not a lot
Framed
of people
Roger
do.
Rabbit.
Huh?
And I like Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
No, I did too. I thought it was a lot of fun. But yeah, no, the author liked it so much better than his own book that he rewrote his own book to make his story basically a dream that Jessica Rabbit had.
Well, so no, I take it you're going no.
Huh?
So I take it you guys are banned on no. It's not canonical.
I'm betting that he liked the theory, but I'm betting he didn't actually make it canonical.
Same things in?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, well, that is, as far as we can tell, that is also true. They acknowledged it in the official Godzilla dictionary that it is an actual theory, but they did not conclude that it was legitimate, that it is three separate Godzillas as far as anyone's concerned. Oh, that that Manila that it is Godzilla, the primary Godzilla throughout all the movies, and Manila never really grows up. But speaking of dreams, I'm actually happy you brought up dreams. We have to talk about the last monster, the one from Alchemist's favorite movie, Attack All Monsters. Yes, Attack All Monster Attack, I should say. All Monster Attack. It is Gabara. Surprisingly enough, that distinctive role, because I always remember the role from it. That one came from, we just found out that one came from a mandrill ape that they just slowed down. which points to them that is pretty good. Gabara, 58 meters tall, 23 metric tons, almost the same size as Godzilla. I think he's actually a little bit bigger than Showa era Godzilla. Yeah, he's actually a little bit taller than Godzilla, and a little bit heavier. Go figure. So, All Out Monster Attack is basically. I know Alchemist hate the movie. I
really do.
I just rewatched it for the podcast. The summary of it is basically a little boy is with a very vivid imagination who like kaiju is throughout the day you see that the little boy is getting bullied. Well, he's a wimp, but he's also slightly being bullied. Doesn't have friends, so he often daydream of himself playing on Monster Island with Manila. Manila is able to grow and shrink sizes, so it can shrink from its current size to a human size to interact with the child.
And he talks.
This is all. They confirmed this was all a dream. And this brings on Gabara. Gabara is essentially, as far as I can tell, I don't think he's a real monster. I think he is literally imagined up by the child. Well, in the movie, it's clear he's made to represent the child's bullies and fears. And as far as I can tell, I think the monster is completely imaginary and only exists in the boy's dream, because I don't see any of other evidence where it shows up or where it's acknowledged as being like a monster in the Showa series. It's only ever seen as just a in just that one movie. It's not in any of the other movies.
In that monster's defense, the kids' bullies were also wimps.
Yeah, they was not even really bullies. They were more of just boys being boys. I hate to say it that way to hand wave away bullies, but I mean that's essentially what they was. Gabara, he's a jobber. He's just there to get his butt whooped by Godzilla in the end of the day. He get taken out by Manila. Basically, he's chasing around Manila. Manila walks on a giant tree trunk, and Manila tricked Gabara into stepping on the end of a tree trunk, and Manila jump off of a cliff when he's currently in human size, transform back into his log size, hit the other end of the log, and do a teeter-totter and shoot him up into the air and launch him down to the ground. Gabara's only real ability is he's a monster taser. If he touch you, he can shock you. Needless to say, he tried that on Godzilla. It worked briefly until Godzilla grabbed him and flipped him over and beat the ever-living tar out of him.
So basically it pissed him off more.
Yes.
That sounds right.
Surprisingly enough, I was very surprised because I assumed that maybe he was in other pieces of medium that I never seen or comics. And he is in a couple of comics and books centered around Manila. He's always playing the part of the bully. But he's not really in anything. He's the one monster that's just kind of... He only existed for this one movie, and that's only to play a part of a bully.
Oh, so he's actually not in Son of Godzilla.
No. No, he's not in Son of Godzilla. He's not in any of the... Other than All Out Monster Attack, he's not in any other Showa era movie. They never even mention him again from that movie.
Okay.
All the other monsters, they'll mention them in at least one other movie. He's the only one that they never mentioned, which made me think, so he's just completely imaginary. He was made up by the child. He's not a real monster. So that one was very surprising to me. Other than that, I like Manila. I don't hate him. Um, his name, Manila name in Japan, Manira. I'm butchering that. Basically, it means mini Godzilla. So that's your little trivia of the day. His name
Oh,
basically
that's
mean
great.
yeah.
That's creative.
Well, funny enough, they went through a huge convention to name him. What happened was they did like a naming campaign, and they just called him. I think before they gave him his name, they just called him Childzilla. Is how they referred to him in the script, and they went through 8,200 applicants submitted entries, and they did a huge name. They did like a little naming ceremony. Let me see if I can get an image on that for our YouTube folks. Get a little image to show up for them, so that way they can see that. Because I do think it was a little bit adorable what they did for the cast and crew, because they officially named them on set before they start filming, and gave them like these little ceremony robes and stuff.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and actually did like a formal kimono type style naming convention for him. So I did find that a little bit hilarious that they went through so much ceremony for this guy's name. Because apparently, yeah, Manila won. It was submitted 135 times, and it was ultimately the one they got from the random drawing. And they did a little naming ceremony for it. So, but
I guess congrats.
yeah, other than that, that's pretty much. This is the first Godzilla we actually covered in the podcast. Well, we haven't got to Godzilla yet. I was saving him because for the last one because.
No, didn't we cover Godzilla in the very first episode?
I think I gave a very brief explanation of what Godzilla is.
Yeah, it's like.
But I didn't go into a full breakdown.
Didn't we?
Did I not?
You know what? It's been a while.
Now you got me second guessing myself. Now I'm wondering, did I? I don't believe I did. Because
we've been going movie by movie, right?
Yeah, but I believe I skipped the first movie on purpose.
I would have sworn we looked at the first movie.
Now you got me checking. Because I believe the first one was.
See, the problem is, like, we might have just.
No, I was right. I'm always right. First one was Anguirus. Then King Kong.
Did we just go into detail about Godzilla?
I went into detail of what
on his size.
Mentioned that. I went on
the size. Yeah.
I went on detail of what he was, his size. I gave a very brief description, but I remember I didn't want to do Godzilla the first episode because I would literally everything I would be doing is I'm like, well, then Godzilla beat Anguirus, and then King Kong, and then Mothra, and then King Ghidorah. I would just be naming monsters that you never knew, and saying he beat all of these monsters that you don't know who they are. So I figured the
better thing... You're right. We talked about this. See, that's the problem with my memory. Is like I remember talking about this, but I don't remember like if we were talking about it online or just talking to each other about it.
Well, I don't. Yeah, and now the people in the podcast can know as well. Yes, because I want to go through all the monsters. And I think I said this in the first episode, but I'll say it again. I want to go through all the other monsters because if I start with Godzilla in the first episode was just going to be an hour of me saying, and then Godzilla beat monster XYZ. And assuming this is new people coming who don't know anything about the Godzilla, old casual people who don't know a lot of names, they wouldn't know who the heck some of these monsters are. So this way they at least they can reference previous parts if they don't know who a monster was or what their abilities are, and see why it's impressive that Godzilla actually beat that monster.
That's fair.
But in this case, this would be the one monster Godzilla do not ever fight. He steps on his tail a lot.
Smacks him upside the head.
But I think the last thing I'll leave out on, if I have a picture of it. Do I have it?
Which I'm sorry, but this might be one of my most controversial opinions. Every now and again, there are some children who could use a good smack upside the head.
Ah, okay, I didn't
Um,
save a picture, but Godzilla actually is a very caring father, surprisingly enough.
yeah,
I do like. I know you don't like All Out Monster Attack. I do like the lesson Godzilla is teaching Manila, even though it's technically all a dream sequence. He does the same thing in Son of Godzilla, so I can only imagine if he could talk. And he didn't technically talk in All Out Monster Attack,
no,
but
I get the lesson. It's not a bad lesson. Like, I just thought the movie was annoying and
I
stupid.
did like one thing watching that movie again. I realized Godzilla's entire schedule is pretty much wake up, eat breakfast, fight monster. Walks around, fight more monster. Take a nap, wake up, fight more monster. Go back to eat some more food, wake back, fight the military. Go back to bed, fight more military, then a monster. Like he's literally his whole day is just fight a monster all day long.
Living the dream.
That's his dream, is he just fight monsters all the time. Oh, he fight the Japanese military. I realize that's like his, because Manila's like, yeah, that's all Godzilla does. He just fight all the time, and he want me to be able to defend myself and fight. Which is what he does in Son of Godzilla. He teach him how to defend himself. Granted, he doesn't make him fight a monster double his size, but he does teach him how to defend himself.
It works out.
So, other than that, I guess, yeah, Godzilla's not a deadbeat dad.
Kudos for him.
Oh, this is the last thing. This is technically bonus. Manila's ability to shrink and grow actually is slightly canon. Outside the dream.
Yeah, because I remember that in one of the other ones.
In Godzilla Final Wars, which is the final Godzilla movie they made before Toho took a long hiatus from Godzilla. This would be before Shin Godzilla comes out. Manila was in that final movie along with virtually every Godzilla monster but Gabara. He was not in it. Manila actually shrinks down to human size and befriends a human child. And then at the end of the movie, Manila's grow to his regular child infant Godzilla size and pleads with Godzilla to not
Be a dick.
keep killing humanity.
How's that different from what I said?
Humanity kind of deserves it.
They always deserve it.
Yeah. So I don't think it's a dick when someone give it what they have coming to them. Like humanity doesn't have it coming to them.
I didn't say that. It doesn't. Like, just because someone else was a dick doesn't mean you're any less of a dick.
I'm saying humanity have it coming. I'm siding with the kaiju on this one.
Nice.
Other than that, any other thing to add in before we end this part off?
The movie's still annoying.
And Zed, no, there's not enough alcohol for you to want to watch that movie.
Okay, good to know.
Again, it's not bad. I'll end this part off by saying All Out Monster Attack is not a bad movie.
Oh, really? I don't want to watch it so much that I'm not going to force Zed to watch it just so he can be annoyed for my entertainment.
Add the subtext of if someone asks me what's a movie, a very child-friendly movie that I could watch, and it's for a very, very young child.
I challenge it damages brain cells.
I would probably recommend All Out Monster Attack because it's clearly meant for a childlike audience. Like, it's clearly meant for a 5, 6, 7-year-old fan base. Some of the other Godzilla movies, yeah, I can see some of the monsters. Like, Gigan may scare a child. Megalon may scare a child, maybe. But Gabara, I guess the only thing that could scare a child in All Out Monster Attack is the mantis and the spiders. But you only see them for, like, what, 2 minutes on screen before
I
Godzilla
recommend
beat the
Secret
crap
of
out of
Nim.
him.
I recommend the Secret of Nim for children.
Yeah, because I won't freaking traumatize them.
Exactly. If you're gonna traumatize your kids, do it right.
I thought you were gonna say, what is it called, water down? Or
I said traumatize, not freak out.
yeah, that will.
Okay, there's a difference between trauma and, just character assassination, which assassination fits way too well with that movie.
Sorry, what water ship down?
Yeah, the one with the rabbits getting brutally murdered.
Yes, that'll
Spoiler.
traumatize a child. So movies not to watch. We'll end that part there on that pleasant note of movies to traumatize your child too. See you guys next time.
Later.